Hi, I'm a writer who likes food, and today we are going to be making a soft and decadent cinnamon apple cake with a sugar glaze. Of course, this recipe wouldn't be complete without a bit of history, so today's star ingredient is cinnamon. If you didn't know this, cinnamon is actually tree bark. It is harvested when the tree is around 2 years old and then dried up and ground for daily use. True cinnamon is native to Sri Lanka, and some of the first mentions of it in writing are from Egyptian texts dating all the way back to 2000 BC, which, to put that into perspective, is around the time that the pyramids were being built. Now, I say true cinnamon because similar to wasabi, there are two types. The first is a plant native to Sri Lanka and harder to find and therefore more expensive. The second is slightly milder and found in southern China, and it is a lot more abundant, which makes it cheaper. And you can tell the difference because the cheaper one is a lot more hollow. That's also the one that I have. We are going to start on the cake by mixing the wet ingredients. First, we are going to crack an egg. Next, we will add in the melted butter and the milk, and finally the vanilla extract. Then we will mix. Now we are going to peel and core the apples and cut them into cubes. I have small ones, so I'm using 2, but you could also just use 1 medium to large one. In ancient Rome, cinnamon was more valuable than silver, and because of that, spice traders refused to say where they were getting their supply from in order to keep their monopoly. They even took to making up elaborate stories about the origin of the spice so that people wouldn't go looking for it. Over 2,500 years ago, Arab traders insisted that there was a large bird called Cynomologus who made its nests out of cinnamon sticks. It would have to be lured away with the promise of meat so that the cinnamon could quickly be collected. It wasn't until the 1400s that the myth was truly busted. Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama sailed around Africa and found the spice trade thriving on the coast of India. Things started to get even more crazy in the 1600s when the Dutch formed the Dutch East India Company and took over Sri Lanka, which at the time was the world's main supplier of cinnamon. I am adding in the cubed apples and the sugar into the wet ingredients. Finally, we will add in the dry ingredients. Flour, and this is gluten-free 1-to-1 substitute flour, baking powder, baking soda, and a bit of salt. A lot of times gluten-free cakes can become pretty dense, so I like adding baking powder and baking soda just to give it a bit of extra volume. I will now preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly equivalent to 180 degrees Celsius. While that is heating, I will grease a 6-inch cake pan and place a piece of parchment paper on the bottom so that the cake doesn't stick. Then I will pour the batter into the cake pan. Now for the fun part, the cinnamon swirl. This is really easy. I'm just going to mix the cinnamon, sugar, and butter until it achieves a crumbly, grainy texture. Then I will swirl it over the batter with a toothpick just until it is about evenly distributed along the surface and pop it into the oven. That will bake for about 30 to 35 minutes until you can insert a toothpick into the center and it comes out clean. After the cake comes out and while it is cooling, I will start on the sugar glaze. You don't want to make it too early because then it will stiffen up, and also if you put it on while the cake is too hot, it will slide right off. By 1795, the cinnamon monopoly had been taken over by the French and then by the British, but it wasn't a monopoly for long. In the 1800s, many other countries realized that their climates were also suitable for growing the cinnamon plant, and soon the monopoly fell apart since there was a bunch of supply. Throughout history, cinnamon has had many uses. It has been used to help digestion and as a medicine for sore throats. It has been called an appetite stimulant and an aphrodisiac, and it has been highly prized as a gift suited for monarchs, and even in ancient Greece used as an offering to the god Apollo. Once thought of as more valuable than silver, cinnamon can nowadays be found in almost every household. And I can already tell it's so soft. All right, I'm not gonna delay this anymore. Here we go. This is one of the softest cakes I've ever eaten. I'm not even kidding. It kind of tastes like a coffee cake a little bit, but I'm not mad about that at all. All right, okay, well, I'm gonna try to have some self-control and only eat this piece, maybe.